frequency of the times, the sonic chronic, frequency of the times.
I'm Shazy, creative alchemist, music producer and artist, and vocal vixen. Born in Xanadu and living in LA, ready to scratch that itch in your brain.
And hey, I'm Mandy, singer, actress, lover, born and raised in LA, here to sprinkle a little magic everywhere I go. And welcome to the Sonic Chronic, where we discuss the soundtracks and music of the most popular film titles of the year and how they were influenced or were influenced by the cultural and global buzz of that year. Who were its popular tastemakers and storytellers, and what was the frequency of that time?
Yes, let's get to the bottom of it. This is a part 2.
Part 2.
To 2016. This is where we are in our time traveling machine. Yes, we had part 1. We did some really cool titles. Check it out if you haven't heard it. And now we hear part 2. And so, as we do, we like to remind you a little bit about what was going on
The frequency.
that year.
What was pop-a-lockin'?
Around the world, around the globe, because
2016, my
Yeah.
goodness, has 26.
oh man, so that's an interesting time for you.
Interesting time.
Yeah, what was
still
going on?
figuring it out. You were kind of stepping out of this
Yeah.
20s
You
where
just
you could
crossed that milestone of 25.
right.
Okay.
Now it's like you got to get cracking on your life. No more playing around.
Oh, no, I feel like all of the 20s is the playtime, but maybe that's just me. Oh, you felt
Well,
the,
I was gifted the book, The Defining Decade, Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of It at like age 25. So I was like, oh my gosh, I got a lot of catching up to do.
Look, I feel like that's why we're so resilient and completely you're always like, oh, I could have eaten anything when I was in my 20s. It's on purpose. Our bodies are built because we know that we're probably idiotic in our 20s and we need to experience and put our hand on the burner and still be able to kind of be around for more. So I feel like we're a bit more resilient. Also, we're figuring out, what do we want? What do we like? What do we want to experience? Who are we as people,
Exactly.
right?
Let's figure
I feel
it
like we're
out.
forced to figure that out too fast. Don't you think? How did you feel?
little bit.
What
I
was
mean-
your experience?
I had a great journey through this thing called life. And
Oh, you're still here.
I'm still here. Still, I'm happy to be here.
Happy to be here today on this thing called
Blessed and thankful.
Earth Masterclass.
But
No.
2016, Shay, let's
Yeah.
take me back. What was happening?
Yeah, what was happening from a news standpoint globally? We had, obviously we'd say news stuff that was in part 1 as well. So this is a continuation also
Right.
happening in 2016. So don't worry, we didn't forget. Another reason to go visit that part. Rio Olympics.
Yes.
The 2016 Summer Olympics were held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and there was controversy about basically issues including doping and security, remember? But there was a lot of memorable moments, including Usain Bolt's triple and Simone Biles' domination of the gymnastics competition. So there was still some highlights, but there was a lot of stuff that was kind of overriding our usual excitement of the Olympics with the situation with the doping. There was a lot of athletes that were taking illegal drugs to enhance their performance.
What do you call that again?
Not
Steroids?
they call it doping, but steroids is
Yeah.
one kind, but there was other kinds of performance enhancing drugs that people were taking that were under the radar or just not reported, hush,
Shoot.
which is not fair. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
Come on, keep it real. And also security. Brazil was not ready. And even just the cleanup afterwards, and they trashed the neighborhoods. People locally were just really upset how the Olympics, the government just didn't think of the aftermath of something like that. There needs to be thought, because it's you just have this flood of thing, floods out, and it's just okay, So that was going on. Then you had the death of Muhammad Ali. That was the year he passed.
right.
Legendary boxer and cultural icon. He died on June 2016 at the age of 74. Obviously widely mourned across the world and served as a reminder of his impact on sports, politics, and society. Because he was more than just a boxer, right?
Yep.
And then we had the Panama Papers leak. That was happening in April 2016. It was a massive leak of documents from the law firm Mossack Fonseca, revealed the extent to which wealthy individuals and corporations had used offshore tax havens to avoid paying taxes. And remember, Mr. Trump doesn't pay taxes. So that was a similar kind of trend happening. The revelations sparked outrage around the world. And, that called for greater transparency around that stuff and accountability. But, how much of that changed? I don't know. the U.S.-Russian election hacking scandal happened.
Oh.
In months leading up to the U.S. presidential election, you remember, all that was tied to how he got elected, I think. It was revealed that Russian hackers had targeted political organizations and individuals in an attempt to influence the outcome of the election. The scandal continued to unfold throughout the year, and that led to calls for greater cybersecurity measures and new era of U.S.-Russian relations. But by the way, it was found later that Russian hackers also created the whole QAnon narrative, by the way. It was a disinformation campaign. So that was happening. But then finally, Fidel Castro passed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was longtime leader of Cuba. Died in November 2016 at the age of 90, so he was older. His death was met with mixed reactions, with some mourning his passing as a loss for the Cuban people, and others were celebrating his departure because it was a step towards greater freedom and democracy, because he obviously was a dictator.
Yep.
So that was all happening in 2016, and there was 5 more that we mentioned in the other episode. And
when I think about it,
that.
I feel like I also remember Beyonce released Lemonade and Okay,
that
ladies,
was 2016.
Mission. Yes, that
Lemonade
was
groundbreaking
at the halftime show too, and it was incredible. And she just
Super Bowl
randomly, the Super Bowl halftime
Yes.
show. She randomly dropped this visual album for Lemonade. Do you remember that?
Yes, it was amazing. I love that she did that. It was so cool. I love multimedia, like art like that. It was so.
She was like, "Oh, by the way, here you go."
It was many songs. It was no little thing.
songs,
It was like not just like a couple songs.
That whole album,
And it was a whole video thing. It was so cool.
I remember like all my friends got together and we all watched it. It kind of like
Wasn't it cool though?
It was so
I was
cool.
impressed with her. Actually, that made me like her more as an artist after she
love
did that.
Beyonce. She's
a
queen of
powerhouse.
all
My
queens.
God. And like in terms of dancing and performance, like that Super Bowl halftime show, like she's like another being from space, alien species, like
Probably
goddess
one of the
energy.
best halftime shows of all time.
Yeah, I think
honestly.
so. It's definitely
So,
up
so
there.
good. And this year was the year Hamilton the musical. It peaked.
Oh, so it was kind of like at its height.
The year prior, but it was like it peaked.
That
this
was
year.
a phenomenon, by
Won
the
a
way.
Grammy, Best Musical Theater Album, and 11 Tony Awards.
I always forget his name.
Lin-Manuel.
Lin-Manuel, thank you.
Genius.
He's been some great
so,
stuff. Yeah,
so good. You
he's
can
super
catch
great.
it now on Disney Plus.
Yes, you can actually see the performance if you didn't go to see it on Broadway or anywhere else. Like, oh my God, do you remember? The tickets were like $800.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Wild. And it's still
it was
on
sold
Broadway.
out. Now we're like 5 years later, we can get
Hey, we can go see
We're
it
so
now.
cool. But yeah, no, that was a sensation. Wow, interesting. I didn't know that. See, that's so cool. Because think about that. Again, like, yeah, Lemonade was like an adventure. It was like a storytelling. It was like cinematic. It was like interpretive dance. It was poetry in motion. And then you had Hamilton coming out the gates with like this hip hop interpretation of some like U.S. president scenario. And it's like, what is happening? Everybody was like suddenly all about going to Broadway shows because it was like this refreshing take on like hip hop kind of songs and storytelling that nobody was really doing, you know. I think that's like in Moonlight coming out, and you know, like it's like it was starting to step into these new storyteller shoes that was
Even
getting
La La
the
Land,
limelight.
the whole musical aspect.
Yes,
of
it was getting the
That was that frequency.
limelight. Right, and getting exposure. So yeah,
Great
so that
time.
was a crazy year with news. So shall we get into the stories?
Let's get into
the
these
titles that were making the cut,
tastemakers.
that were making people come out to the theaters or watch it on their streaming TV. Because remember, 2016, we had Netflix and Hulu and Prime and all that stuff was flowing, HBO Max, all that stuff. And that's another thing we said in the last part is that as we come into years that are closer to now, remember there's a difference because we look at the top rated in terms of IMDB ratings as well as box office to kind of determine our top list. But we realize, that changes. And there's a little bit of an influence in when technology came in, we access things on streaming television.
Yeah.
That's going to make a difference on whether people see it and experience it. So keeping that in mind, we have some more titles
Let's get
that have
into
emerged that also have a noteworthy soundtrack or music score.
Yes.
That's the other kind of condition that we like to kind of include as to why we're reviewing a title. So shall I
go
pick
first.
first
Yes.
this time? Oh.
Go first.
We're using a little shaky black tube this time
Shake it.
in our
shake
box. So it's a
shake
tube in a
it.
box. Chicka. I like it. It's like a soft, subtle shake. All right. What do we got? And of course, what we do is we read the quote from the movie.
See if I can guess it.
And let's see if Mandy can guess this one with my excellent performance. All right, here we go. Sometimes the world seems against you. The journey may leave a scar, but scars can heal and reveal just who you are.
Oh, that sounds like Moana.
No.
Oh, wait.
It is!
I was like, no.
No. And also, I did the quote wrong. It's just where you are.
Oh.
I don't want to get the quote wrong because you're quoting it. Good God, Shay. No, this is Moana. This was Grandma Tala, the character who said that quote.
Yes.
Let's talk about Moana. This was an animated Pixar movie, right? Or Disney?
Definitely Disney all the way. And speaking of Lin-Manuel, he composed this film.
He was a hot ticket that year.
Very hot ticket.
I wonder if that played a role in whether that he composed it, because he was already doing well with Hamilton.
Well, he was having a great year this year.
That's what I mean.
So,
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Definitely all
Yeah.
connects in
And that's
some way.
interesting for opportunity for artists, like when you're buzzing and then you get this other opportunity over here, because like it's kind of like Christina Aguilera where she's popping up in all these different movies, and that boosted her quite a bit.
Totally.
Like films boost these artists a lot.
So Moana is about this adventurous teenager. She sails out on a daring mission to save her people. And on the journey, she meets demigod Maui, played by The Rock.
Yes, The Rock. Oh my God, he was.
Who do we call him that anymore?
I love
Dwayne
him.
The Rock Johnson.
Dwayne, but I love him. He's so good. And
And he helps guide her in her quest to become a master wayfinder. Together they sail across the open ocean on an action-packed voyage, encountering enormous monsters and impossible odds.
yeah, but he's not just any character. The thing is, he's like a demigod.
Yeah.
And there's a twist. There's a whole kind of folklore about like, which I thought was really wonderful how they stayed true. They basically really honored the characters and the story of this, where she was basically young daughter who was going to become the next kind of tribe leader. Her parents were grooming her, which, you know, that's really cool. Female protagonist again in that role. And, you know, something had happened way back in their family's lineage because they were on an island, and, you know, the heart of the island, let's say, was stolen by Maui, the demigod, because he was trying to do, you'll see, he was trying to do something good, but it was good intentions. But what happened was it created this curse basically on the island, which, you know, that island nourishes them. And it's like, you know, the fish were going away, plants were starting to kind of, you know, and so as an aspiring tribes leader, she felt it was her job to figure out how to save her family and the island.
Yeah.
So that's why she wanted to get back to the roots. They were disconnected from their roots of who they really were because of this curse. And so she set out to figure out how to get that reestablished. She had to go to the source of the person who caused it in the first place, which is Maui, but he was this crazy demigod. No, but yeah, so
Such a cute story. And
Yeah.
you know, fun fact, Shape, the way Maui looks is based off of The Rock's grandfather.
no
actually.
way.
Yeah.
I was gonna say they usually
inspired by him.
do like animate the characters close to the people who are voicing them. They
Yeah.
tried that sometimes.
I feel like they do, especially like if I think about Toy Story and like
Yes. Oh my
Tom
God,
Hanks
that's
and
funny.
Woody.
Yes.
But this is Disney's 56th animated,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and they used real pigs to voice Pua the pig.
Oh my God, shut up.
Yeah,
That's
They
funny.
used real pigs. It was really cool. And the music behind this was great. Like we mentioned before, it was composed by Lin-Manuel. They won Best Song at the Grammys for How Far I'll Go.
Wait, so that's right. And yeah, I forgot to say when I did the quote and announced this title, this is our second chance to dance for this episode, because after I watched it, because we were thinking about picking the movies and we were trying to narrow it down, and it had a wonderful soundtrack actually.
Yeah.
And they even sang some songs like Polynesian, some English, but it was a mix, and it was like such a cool, not typical kind of Disney soundtrack.
Right.
And I just thought also the story was so sweet and wonderful. And I just wanted to give it a little bit, you know, more visibility.
I feel like it was really popular with
think
kids.
so?
A lot of kids,
Okay.
little kids I know, they loved Moana.
Okay.
And even at the Oscars, it was nominated Best Animated Feature Film of the Year, Best Original Song. At the Billboard, they won best soundtrack. So
Yeah, the soundtrack was, but I guess the
killing it.
ratings wise like wasn't as high up. Maybe that's what it was. And after I saw it too, I was like, this is great. I was actually a little teary eyed at the end.
These Disney
It was
movies
really
are
good.
really good, honestly.
It was super sweet. I don't know, the characters were really well developed. They were not so like, sometimes animation, it's tough. They can dial it in or, it's hard to connect because they're animations, right? But there was something about the way they did this story and how the story was in general. It just had some depth to it. And even just the idea of like the island was a goddess that had been like, her heart was stolen. So she was attacking and being like upset. And so as soon as her heart was replaced, she became this wonderful green goddess, giving, nourishing goddess again. And I don't know, I just love that. And maybe I'm just kind of like, I love nature. And I love that they were like giving back. They were telling the story of our connection with nature. Yeah.
Definitely go watch it. You can watch it right now on Disney Plus if you have it. And if you don't have it,
I thought the music was great. It was just like, what was the one popular song you said again?
it's the one, How Far I'll Go.
Ah, yeah. And the actors, they were actually all very...
Ali'i Cravalho.
They casted it really
She was
well.
actually 16 when she did this. And
Wow, that's...
she's super beautiful.
She was really
voice.
good, yeah. I thought they did such a good job in casting as well. That was the other note. So yeah, this is our second chance to dance, so we don't vote
Speaking
on
of
it.
casting, Nicole Scherzinger.
Yes! She was the...
She played Cena.
That's right. I was like, okay, Nicole.
Let's go, Nicole.
Let's do it. So that was, I thought it was a wonderful film. It actually has a really good story.
Yeah.
And good symbolism. And then the music was wonderful. And of course, the animation was great because Disney just keeps picking it up every year.
682 million at the box office.
Okay, I don't know where I got my numbers from,
Yeah,
but okay.
this
Technically,
is a big film. If you know what it is, I think for my friends who have kids, I just knew they were all about Moana. But I think if you maybe
not
went
hanging
under
out
the
with kids a
radar
lot,
for us, But
yeah.
I even remember going to Target and seeing like all kinds of Moana toys and stuff. I'm like, what
That's
is this
true.
movie?
But then again, because I have nieces and nephews, and I'm not really on the heartbeat of like Disney movies.
Right.
I definitely knew how popular Frozen was, but I guess Moana. I guess it wasn't as like obvious as Frozen was, but like it still was pretty.
Yeah.
It was pretty fantastic, and of course The Rock. I mean Dwight. He's like a big name.
Dwayne.
I said Dwight.
Dwight Schrute from Schrute Beat Farms. Dwight's also in there. The white around your lip. Oh my god. Okay. So that was our second chance to dance. You know that we loved it. Go watch it.
On that note, all right, so it's your
pick our
turn to pick.
next one.
That's right. I out the jump, I did a second chance to dance. All right, so now it's
right.
all main titles from
Main
here.
titles. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Here we go. Every time we have a chance to move ahead, they move the finish line. Every time.
Hidden Figures.
Yes.
That was a great movie, and it is based on true events, true people. That
story.
it was so awesome to learn about these three amazing ladies.
Yes,
you want to
Black
tell a
Girl
little bit
Magic
more?
in History.
Yeah.
Based in Virginia, 1961, under Jim Crow laws, which, if you don't remember, this is crazies where African Americans were relegated to the status of second-class citizens. Crazy. But if you've seen this film, you already know and felt the impact that Black women were directly responsible for putting the first American astronauts into space.
That's what this was telling you about. We didn't learn this history.
No, we didn't. This
We
was
did
not in
not.
our history books, which makes me so angry. But these brilliant African American women for NASA, Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, serves as the brains behind one of the greatest operations in history, the launch of astronaut John Glenn into orbit. Stunning achievement that restored the nation's confidence and turned the space race upside down.
It was during the big space race with Russia. We were trying to be the first. And at the time, we didn't have, like, IBM was just coming out. Massive, big IBM supercomputers.
Yes.
Those were just coming out. So we actually used real people as computers.
Yeah.
And these were computers to start, but all three of them had their own like unique specialty, which I
Yes.
love that they highlighted. And also, by the way, they show the real women at the end and they juxtapose them against the actors who play them, which were
phenomenal casting.
We had-
Taraji P. Henson played Catherine, Octavia Spencer played Dorothy, and Janelle Monáe, who's been in all these movies pretty much,
right.
played Mary
and
Jackson.
TV shows.
And it's an amazing and inspiring true story of female empowerment, drama, overcoming racial segregation during these Jim Crow laws,
Oh,
and
man.
girls doing math and engineering.
Right, and how lovely. I just thought so clever the name. Hidden Figures. It's such a good name. I mean, come on,
is,
Hidden
it
Figures from a math
is.
perspective, and Hidden Figures being like, because they were actually hidden away.
They were.
NASA did not acknowledge them. In fact, they were, as you'll see, this one scene, it was killed me because like she was asked to help Taraji
P. Henson.
Yeah, her
Catherine.
character, Catherine,
Catherine.
was asked to work directly in the kind of NASA think tank office, the ones that were directly dealing with like launching Glenn into space.
Kevin Costner played like
Kevin
the
Costner was the main
Al
guy.
Harrison.
And they did not have a bathroom that she was allowed to use, not only in the building, but not even on that side
It
of
was like
campus.
a mile and a half
She
away.
literally had to go
To colored restroom.
in her heels.
Yep.
In the rain and shine to go to the bathroom. And she brought all of her work with, and she's still above all. That's the thing that killed me. And they would redact things on the paperwork that she was supposed to calculate. I'm like,
And she
she
was
needs all the
still
data.
able to do
she
it.
was that brilliant. I was saying to Ginger, I was like, because they were doing that stuff, even against all the odds and all the restrictions. I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, do they want to get him safely home from being in outer space, or are they worried about being like racist?
Right.
Like, oh my God, I couldn't believe they were like so like, and even just not only that, but women weren't even allowed in like certain areas. It was all restricted. So she was a black woman dealing with this, but they were so smart and clever. Like Janelle, her character, how cool was that? They were just so smart. They knew how to talk to people. They knew how to play the game to get the advantage. And then the other character, the final character,
Octavia Spencer, Dorothy.
she was like a powerhouse manager in a way. She was genius in her own right, but she also paved the way and made sure other women of color, engineers and computers had opportunity. So she was offered things, but she's like, only if my girls come with me. So she actually, there was so many wonderful things at the end, and I figured you'd capture it. They told the accolades at the end. She was the
Yes,
first.
so,
You tell me.
Dorothy Vaughan, she was amongst the first group of African Americans to be hired as mathematicians and scientists through Jim Crow laws still forced colored employees to work separate
Right.
from white counterparts. She became NASA's first African American manager.
Yes, that's
Yes.
right.
And Katherine Johnson, which a year prior to the year we're discussing, 2015, she received the highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Obama.
That's right. And you know what she else helped with? But besides Glenn and like putting him into orbit, she also then was brought back on to help with the moon mission as well as the super shuttle.
Yes.
Did I say super shuttle?
Super shuttle?
The space shuttle.
I'm like, yes, girl, that super shuttle.
Super shuttle from LAX. So anyway, yeah, the space shuttle.
Yeah, and Mary Jackson, just a fun fact about her, she quit engineering to work on equal rights. And after 30 years as an engineer, Jackson was frustrated with her inability to break the glass ceiling. Never allowed to move into supervisor position, she changed careers to help other women of color, and she joined the Affirmative Action Program and Federal Women's Program and was instrumental in the hiring and promotion of minorities and women at
The Octavia
NASA.
character, right?
This was Janelle.
Oh, Janelle.
Janelle's
And she
character,
was
Mary
also
Jackson.
the very first NASA engineer.
Yes.
Remember? She figured out how to appeal to the courts at the time because she was not allowed to attend a certain school where she needed those courses in order to become eligible to be an engineer, because one of her colleagues was like, you need to become an engineer, just go for it. And so she had to position herself.
There was a quote in the movie, I wrote it down, and basically her colleague was like, let me ask you, if you were a white male, would you wish to be an engineer? And she goes, I wouldn't have to. I'd already be one.
That's
like,
right.
Hello.
Because he asked her, would she want to go into the program? And she's like, I'm not going to entertain something that's like delusional.
Right.
And he was like, what do you mean? And here's this white male telling her this. And she was just, oh God, they played the characters so awesome. You know that they were just awesome because they're super smart. And like each one of them paved the way.
They did.
For Black women in that category. category. And, like you, I at one point was like super excited and proud to have this information, but also at the same time bittersweet, thinking like, why aren't we taught this information? This is, even it showed in the movie. Remember when she was doing the reports, her hard work, her efforts, and they wouldn't let her put her name on it. So it was credited to this other guy, Paul. And do you know how many times that's happened in the past? There's been writers who have like basically changed their names because they couldn't be a black woman or a black man, So you have people like going back in time and thinking like, oh, well, these white men contributed, but like that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
They had to be hidden.
It was so nice
to contribute.
See that female empowerment and just to see black women and our history like that. Because normally when we watch historical type movies,
stereotypical,
it's very sad to see everything. So
it was
nice to see this powerful, uplifting movie. And the fact it's a true story is just phenomenal. And the music was incredible.
The music was great.
Hidden Figures.
Pharrell was in this a lot.
Yes, Hans Zimmer and Pharrell, they were the composers for this. And
I didn't notice it the first time.
Welch is his name? Yeah, it was incredible. It had like a lot of like gospel music, acoustic, electric music. To kind of provide this like computer-like textures to it. And they even used vocals for like Herbie Hancock worked on the score too.
Wow, I can see
really
that.
Great.
It was a good mixed bag. It worked though.
Yes, and had a lot of great awards, nominated at the Golden Globe for Best Original Score, Best Original Soundtrack, and of course at the Oscars, a nominee for Best Motion Picture. And
it did really well.
Spencer, she got a nomination for Best Performance by an Actress in Screen Role.
Nice.
So, just so great. Best Adapted Screenplay. Amazing. And there was just, the acting was incredible in
I think
this.
they should have gotten more, like all three of them should have gotten something. I don't know. I thought they were all great.
Kevin Costner and Kirsten Dunst, they were great too. Glenn Powell was in
Oh,
this.
yeah. Kristen Dunst was the
She
supervisor.
played Vivian, the supervisor.
That finally came around. But man, it's like crazy when you have to play. I'm sure like Kristen Dunst, it's like you have to almost channel people that like characters that you may not really like feel good about acting.
Hard,
yeah, it's like, oh. But wow, it's like I really felt stressed watching some scenes. I just like, it just hurt my heart. I don't know. I'm very sensitive about watching that stuff.
When Kevin Costner, he finally went and because he realized that Catherine kept having to walk a mile just to go to the bathroom. Because he was like, "Where is she? How are you?
Yeah.
Why are you taking these hour-long breaks a day?
Yeah.
Don't you know we're trying to get a man in space?" And she finally broke down and was like,
She was just
"I have to use the bathroom, and there's no bathroom here for me." And she went off on him, and he was just like, "Yo." He like walks to where her bathroom
the next
is
scene.
and just like breaks down the sign that says colored restroom.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have this here anymore, okay?
He's
And
like-
at NASA, bathrooms are for everyone.
And NASA, we all pee the same color.
We all pee the same color.
That's right. I was like, go ahead,
crying.
Kevin.
I'm like, yes. Like,
see, right.
but just the fact that, like, imagine that.
But you know what it
Can't
took? I was just thinking about that because up until that point, he was just kind of treating them like, even giving her a separate coffee pot. I mean, how rude. They didn't even like, no gentlemanly like acting at all. She's doing all this stuff. She's like busting her butt. Like she said, she's been working long hours, and it takes people who were so extraordinary and so smart to change people's minds like that. Fine, we'll take it, but how ridiculous that it has to be that extra.
Exactly.
Just to give simple decency and humanity to others.
Just like puts it in perspective because there's not a whole lot of
She's just
extra
a human being.
amazing people like that come around all the time. So just like it just took way
That's
too
what I'm saying,
much
like,
to make a change.
It's almost like so sad that just a regular person, not just saying you're regular, but like, why can't you give the same decency to that person? Why does someone have to be so extraordinary that you'll make an exception?
Exactly.
So, but for that reason too, I was like, I love seeing people who I call them trailblazers. They're the ones wearing these badges of courage, to like persevere, even though, like when you get that kind of pushback, I can't even imagine it. I can't even imagine. I'm coming from a standpoint of not even understanding, but trying to understand. Yes. And they went for it. Like even her going for that education. I mean, like it's almost like life-threatening, some of the stuff they would have to deal with. And they still, and for me, that like makes me shed a tear because I'm thinking they're doing that and they're blazing trails for younger generations to not have to deal with that.
Exactly. So every time you get to go to a classroom during the day, because she had to take night classes.
That's
Mary
right. They wouldn't.
Jackson.
That's right. They only let her take night classes.
Only night classes. Like just don't take for granted.
Don't take for granted. Yeah. And so I loved it. When I first saw it, I saw it when it came out in the theater and I saw it again. It's just so good. And
really, really
I just
good.
love learning
Empowering.
anyway. I love learning history, real history. You know, it's good to know.
And it did a really great job of it.
They did. They did a good job. And that's the thing. It could have been dark. They were keeping it real. It wasn't totally Disney because, you know, they can do that too. But they had a nice balance, like to your point, where it was like ultimately the story was positive. Ultimately, the story was a good one to hear. So I liked how they framed it, but they still showed you the uncomfortable stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, with that said, should we vote on our
vote.
hidden figures?
Yes.
All right.
Let's think NASA. Okay.
Is it a go for launch
Oh.
or a miscalculation?
Hello.
Oh, it's coming back to me. It's coming
Shay's
back to
got
me.
it.
I
Shay's
feel
got
the
it.
magic again. Okay.
All right. I think we say it's a
Go for launch. I'll probably add that sound effect in. So, all right.
So
that was a
good.
great one. Okay, I forget. Did I pick or did you pick? Now it's your turn, right?
my turn.
Let's go. What's
Last
in the tube?
one
That's in the box.
already?
What's in? Oh, wow.
Episode
Really?
6. Yeah.
Oh, we're
Here we
just doing.
go.
That's right. We're only doing 3 titles.
All right.
All right.
I said a lot of terrible things to you. My heart was broken, and I know yours was broken too.
I love how you're reading it. Just
I'm trying to channel Michelle. My heart was broken. No, it was so powerful, her performance.
It was really
heartbreaking.
sad. That movie was.
Oh my god.
I wasn't expecting it actually. I remember when it first came out, and I wasn't really. Ben Affleck was stars in it.
Casey Affleck.
Sorry, Casey Affleck. Oh my gosh, Casey Affleck, his younger brother.
Younger brother.
He was really good in it, and I don't know. It just seemed like one of those movies where I was like, I don't know, what is it about? And I wasn't really drawn to it because it's kind of like, well, about New England, and it wasn't really clear. It is a human story, and
It just really
it
captures
was
like
really good.
trauma.
I'm glad I watched
agony.
it finally.
Gosh, yeah.
Because sometimes, movies like that are hyped, and then you go watch it, and you're just like, eh. But this one, I was like, wow, this is good. This is good.
really
And the music was beautiful.
gives you a glimpse of what it's like to feel real loss. And this guy,
Yeah,
you
and to
know,
live with it. To live with
live with
bad
it.
decisions, maybe, There's
Casey
that, too.
Affleck plays Lee Chandler, who basically he's surviving the death of his older brother, Joe. And also,
Right, he had a heart
like,
attack.
He had a heart
Well, he has a
attack.
heart condition. Yeah,
He lives in Boston, but he
Yeah.
returns to Manchester by the Sea, which is where he lost his family.
Well, yeah, see, when you open the movie, all you know is that he has this brother who has a heart condition, and his brother has a son. So that's his nephew. But he is no longer living in the same town. We don't learn yet why.
Right.
But he's kind of living by himself. He doesn't seem to have a family, doesn't seem to have a partner. We're not sure what's going on. And then we basically find out that they had been preparing because he had a heart condition. So they said it might become, might happen. And so when that happened, his brother basically asked in his will for him to be the guardian for his nephew. Yeah, for his son. And so he was kind of like, wow. But when we learned that the reason why there was such hesitation or rumors about him, because earlier there was an accident that happened that he was unfortunately responsible for, that all of it was a total accident, but his family, his children had been killed, and his marriage couldn't survive it. His wife was still, she actually could have died too, but she lived, and it was just too hard for them. He just couldn't live with himself, and he was just going through life, and he was just trying to just survive till nothing, and I think that was like, there was a little spark that happened, but when he had to now be responsible for someone other than himself and live for somebody other than himself, and actually start to look at that hurt when his nephew came back into his life more fully.
Yeah.
And he was trying to be there for his nephew. So don't you think that was kind of the vibe?
Definitely. I mean, the whole movie is just captures real trauma and agony.
Yeah, and what he was going
and
through.
what he was going through. And Casey really
his wife, too.
portrayed that. Like, his performance was so natural and grounded.
Yes.
You could, really see his boiling anger and sadness beneath the surface.
And
the
shame.
Emotions. And, shame. Even Michelle Williams,
Disappointment.
she was, depth and the shakiness in her
She
voices
was the
at
wife,
times. Like, her
the ex-wife,
breakdowns
right.
were just incredible.
Yeah.
A lot of really other great actors in this, too. Matthew
Yes.
Broderick was in this. Tate Donovan.
That's right, I forgot. Yeah.
So good, but it really manages to bring this movie to life with the ability of presenting the characters as real people.
Yeah.
and it's just a masterpiece. It's incredibly moving, really well written.
Mm-hmm.
It was nominated for so many Academy Awards for Best Actor in a Leading Role, which he won.
Mm-hmm.
Well deserved, by the way.
Yeah, and I thought the music was great. Like, I just thought it was beautiful. It really was set the tone correctly, and it was appropriate, and like it really helped to kind of move the scenes. So,
Yes,
yeah.
composed by Canadian composer Leslie Barber.
Okay.
One of the first of her scores to make the mainstream.
Okay.
And basically, it's quiet, minimalist, it's emotional. It has a lot of strings, piano,
Yeah.
a lot of different voices.
Very kind of
with
like
it.
contemplative, beautiful, kind of almost like haunting.
Yes.
Which I think was appropriate because you'll understand. We want to give all the details if you haven't seen it, but gosh, it's tough.
It's kind of
you know?
influenced by early church music in her writing, especially with the vocals
I can
that
see
were
that.
actually performed by her daughter, who's an opera singer.
Oh,
Jacoba
wow.
Barber.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of inspired by like 17th century New England church.
Yeah.
music.
Oh, and
kinda
that
gives
see, then that
vibe.
sets the tone well because you're there in New England.
Yeah.
You know, it's this Boston vibe, like you said. And that's the thing, Manchester by the Sea, that's where his brother lived, but also there's a tie-in with he had a boat that they would go boating, and he was grooming his son basically to kind of take over the business. And that was how his son would fond memories before the incident with his uncle, even, that they would connect and they would go out fishing on the boat. And that was like happy times. And so it was this interesting moment too when he inherited everything from his brother and as well as taking care of his nephew, like, you know, he was like, oh, I got the house, I got the boat. What do I do with the boat? I can't maintain this. I don't know what to do. But the nephew was like, no, we want to keep the boat. I'm going to drive the boat. I'm going to take, and he realized at first he was kind of just being like very kind of pragmatic about it.
Yeah.
Then he realized, oh, this is something really important to his nephew. This is a piece of his father for his nephew. And that he helped him kind of keep the boat. And at the end, it's really sweet, that was like them connecting again back how
full
they used to.
circle.
It was almost like he came back to life a little bit in a weird series of events, right?
It's just a masterpiece in modern storytelling. The photography and score was just grandiose, and the pacing was really flawless, going back and forth of unraveling.
Yeah, I like the dynamic when they had
past.
conversations. Yeah,
He was
I
just-
agree.
The main character was really tormented, and
Yeah.
it just shows. And the acting and the chemistry between all of them was just great.
Yeah.
It was
I mean, he was
beautifully captured.
You're right. He was tormented. I love how they showed it because, like, on one note, he also had this like empathy and compassion for his family and his nephew. Then let's like say he would feel like something would happen and he, go out drinking at the bar.
Yeah, he's like,
and he was
"Wanna
just
fight."
so ready. Like he just punched a random stranger in his face for looking at him the wrong way. And you can tell like he was just like hurting.
You could just see, like, he'd just be standing still, and you could just see the sadness and like the
Yeah.
emotions that were like underneath the surface of what he
yeah.
was portraying. Like Casey Affleck definitely deserved this.
Oh, yeah. He
award.
yeah, that's right. He definitely deserved it. And that's right. It was a big to-do in that.
It was kind of a lot of backlash during that time because he was like being Me Too'd, right?
Oh, was that happening? Is that why?
Yeah, they were kind of like, I don't give it to him. But
Oh,
there's a whole
interesting.
thing about that. I don't really know too much, but my friend Melissa actually was like, I remember that.
Yes, she's a makeup artist. No,
I'm
that's
like,
interesting.
oh. Yeah, so
because I remember thinking too, like I remember the film was getting all this hype, and then it kind of was died down really quick. So maybe
Yeah,
that was why.
I think so.
Oh, interesting. Well, at
Sign
least the
of the
film
times,
itself,
the frequency
son,
of the
that was
time.
a see how the frequency can change on you.
For real, but
Yeah.
it's a really great film. I say watch it. Let's rate it.
Let's rate it. I wonder what you're thinking. All right. So, what's a rating for Manchester by the Sea? Are you gonna park the car
wash
in the
up to
Harvard
shore?
Yard? Park the car in the Harvard Yard. That's my boss next.
Park the car.
In the Harvard Yard.
Police department.
Police department. That's good. Yeah. Is it gonna
Wash up
up
to
on the shore?
Or sail off into the sunset. Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you.
That's appropriate. Strong shame. Golf clap. All right. Okay.
And we say
sail
off into the sunset.
underneath the breeze and the birds. We're so good. Wow.
We're our biggest fans.
We're our biggest fans. Okay.
Yay!
That was it.
That's a wrap.
Is that the last of our part 2 2016 titles?
Oh my goodness.
How is that possible? We're getting
is.
efficient with this stuff.
We are. We have a few honorable mentions that we'd like
Let's
to
do all the honorable mentions in
mention.
part 2 then. Let's do it.
Honorably. Let's mention.
Honorably. Okay, so these honorable mentions, because like I said, we had so many good titles to choose from. We had to narrow it down. We put them in an honorable mention if we don't go into a deep dive on them, but we do want to mention them because we think they're noteworthy enough, right?
Yes, we want to
what do we got?
mention the all-female cast of Ghostbusters.
Oh, that was right. That was
So
the year
good.
of that the reboot with an all-female cast and like, oh my God. So
Yes,
good.
Very, very funny.
And obviously the soundtrack on that was really cool. What else we got?
Deadpool.
Deadpool. Oh my, that was groundbreaking. Breaking the fourth wall. That was with, what's his name?
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
So
and
funny.
the soundtrack on that was actually really good too. It was not a typical Marvel movie. It was like the first time they were really changing it up.
He's really funny.
That was the beginning of the franchise.
We got
okay?
Zootopia.
Zootopia was an animated, really cute movie. Had a lot of good music going on that one too.
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad with, what's her name? The blonde,
Margot Robbie.
yeah, she's like, Joker's love interest.
Yes.
Oh my God, what's the name of the character?
Jared Leto.
No, the
Oh.
Marvel character. But it was the movie. The Suicide Squad was based around her story. Is what I'm getting at. It's kind of like Wolverine, of the X-Men. And it was good. And the soundtrack is killer. It's like literally like really energetic. And it was
Harlow.
Thank you.
Harlow what?
Something. Yes.
Harlow.
Why do I don't know. Bad. All right.
Captain America, Civil War was on here, honorable mention.
Captain America,
Doctor
Civil War.
Strange, a lot of Marvel.
Doctor Strange. Oh, there was a lot of Marvel. And Doctor Strange was awesome, actually. I saw that. And I thought it was very different than the typical Marvel stuff. And the soundtrack was dope.
Yes.
That's a good one to check out.
And then we
a
got
lot of
Rogue
Marvel.
One, a Star Wars story.
Rogue One, that's right. The first time you had a female protagonist. It was actually pretty noteworthy. There was a lot of hype around that one.
The Secret Life of Pets, super cute.
That was super cute.
super, super
But
cute.
more than that, even I thought was cool. It almost made our second chance to dance was Sing. Sing also came out that year.
Yes, that's
And that
right.
one was an animated movie. I think it fell under the radar. It has Sing 2, though. It was pretty popular. It was super cute. It was literally based on music. And it was so well done. You have to check it out. Seriously. It's so good. You should see if you haven't seen it.
I have to see it.
Yeah,
too.
it's worth it. It's on like Netflix. No
There's
problem.
so many to list.
Yeah. So anyway, those are our top ones that we wanted to at least mention because
Just mention.
they're interesting in terms of story, but they also have something unique, a spin, but also from a soundtrack perspective.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just something that's worth checking out. It's compelling,
Yeah,
right?
next time you're scrolling and you don't know what to choose, come to the Sonic
That's right. If
Chronic.
you
We
run,
got you.
We got you.
covered.
And you're going to have a different feeling about it when you watch titles that connect the dots with that music and that
and
soundtrack.
the frequency of the time
And
what
the
we're
frequency
going through that year.
That's right. Hey, see how it connects with you. Always trust your gut. If you're leaning into it, that's a story you need to hear, right? So, with that said,
Let us know what you think. Did
That's
we miss
right.
anything? Leave us a comment. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Music, Podbean.
Spotify.
Yes.
We want you to go there, follow us because it's the easiest one. We're on other places, but especially there, rate us, leave us comments.
Yes.
But guess what else we have? The sonicchronic.com official website.
Official website.
Yes, and more importantly, and we're very excited about, is we're going to launch our Patreon channel, which is going to be our main kind of mothership of the Sonic Chronic, where you all will be able to get exclusive extras, all the goods, be the first. You will be our VIP producers if you subscribe and Patreon us at Patreon. And so, yeah, look for that. And we're always wanting to hear from you. What, do we agree? Would you like us to review certain titles? What do you think about our comments? And tell us about your journey on this. Like, what's happening for you in these different years? Like, did we bring you back to a place? Is there nostalgia happening? Are you kind of thinking like there's a lot of connection between how you felt about movies and what was going on with you personally? Because I think so. I think that happens all the time, right?
Definitely. We want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Let us know.
And with that
Listeners.
said, this was the frequency of that time. Yeah!
of the time.
All right.
Episode 6 in the can. We did it.